TaxAct understands you haven't memorized the tax code. That's why TaxAct has live experts to help. TaxAct can even do it for you if you prefer. It's the easiest way to know you're doing it right. Well, other than going back to college and obtaining a bachelor's degree in accounting with a minor in finance, then interning somewhere and becoming fluent in all tax forms. But that might be hard to accomplish before tax day. So maybe just stick with TaxAct. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi. Okay, man, we're looking around. This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Look at you, Dave Scott. Congratulations. There you have your own jingle with sound effects.
Happy.
How do you feel about that?
Well, you know what? It brought a tear to my eye when I heard you play it, and I'm very thankful that I deserve a jingle like that. Thank you.
Dave, it must be your talent.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I am a known Canadian, but, talent, I'm not sure yet. I talk about weird things.
Before you talk about weird things, I must plug the fact that you have a website called Spaced Out Radio. And then if you type spacedoutradio.com/shop, you're going to go into a really fun, spectacular, fun store where you can get great merchandise that's useful. You have the only drinking cup, thermos cup, what do they call them, that fits into a cup holder in North America. The rest of them are all way too big because most of our cars are not made in North America. They're made for very tiny people and very tiny cups. And I'm like, none of my cups, none of these Stanley cups fit into any of these cups, but yours are measured correctly. Your cups are made for actual cup holders. And more amazingly, there's a sweatshirt T-shirt with Walter Sterling on it in a UFO. You have put me in a UFO, and you can get a sweatshirt T-shirt with me in the UFO. Now, what could be better than that?
Well, you do look very handsome in that UFO. And with what's happening in the world right now, it just makes sense that you, the king of the night, would be flying in a UFO.
Thank you, Dave Scott. Now, Dave Scott hosts a national show in Canada. He's an expert on UFOs, metaphysics, Bigfoot, very big in Bigfoot. Do you have any updates for us tonight, Dave Scott?
Well, we're going to talk about a quick story, and this one's actually kind of creepy, Walter. And I know you love creepy stories when it comes to what I talk about.
I do. I love creepy stories.
And back in the late 70s, early 1980s, there was a family going to visit and do a little bit of camping at a place called Land Between the Lakes. And it separates the lakes between Kentucky and Tennessee. And this family went for a nice camping trip. You know, they got all their trailer unpacked and, the lawn chairs out. It was mom, dad, and the two children. Well, later that night, the father started hearing some weird noises around the trailer. And in fact, his trailer ended up getting hit. And he was like, okay, well, what's really going on here? What is happening? Why is there something smacking my trailer? Is it a person out here? Is it maybe a bear that I have to scare off? Well, the father went outside and he was attacked and mauled. And then whatever this creature was, the door was open to the trailer after dad had opened it. And this creature, after mauling father to death, crawls up to the stairway, goes inside the trailer, and mauls the mother and the son. The daughter, the youngest of the children, actually escaped, and it wasn't for very long. She actually was caught by this creature, which we are proclaiming could be the infamous Dogman creature, and she was torn apart as well, to the point where they couldn't find her. When police arrived on the scene, they found the parents, they found the son, all deceased, but they couldn't find the daughter. So they were roaming around, scouring the forests, looking for this young little girl. And one officer allegedly was standing under a tree, and he felt what felt like water dripping onto his forehead. And when he went to wipe the water away, he realized as he looked down at his hand, it wasn't water, it was actually blood. And he looked up at the tree, and there was the young girl's body. Now, in the cryptid world, many people, including my guest that I had on earlier today, a lady named Jessica Jones, who actually just happened to be in the land between the lakes investigating for Sasquatch and Dogman this past weekend, they believe that this was something that was very nefarious, that this monster werewolf-like creature that stands about 7.5 to 8 feet tall, imagine a human body filled with strength, but with a head of a wolf. That's what we call the Dogman. Some people call it a bipedal canine that can run on 2 legs, but can also run on 4. This creature has been sighted all over North America. It doesn't matter what corner of this continent you are on, people have seen this creature. Thankfully, I have not. This is the one creature, Walter, that absolutely scares the daylights out of me. But this land between the lakes continues to be filled with controversy. And Jessica, who I interviewed tonight, and I welcome in all my listeners, and I brought over from my show tonight to listen to WABC, and you, Walter, they heard a great broadcast of Jessica talking about how on the Friday night when they were getting ready to go to sleep, between about 2 o'clock and 4:30 in the morning, their campsite, and there was a number of people there, was absolutely surrounded by some sort of creature, which she believes actually was Sasquatch, running around, banging on people's tents, pushing and leaning upon vehicles, shaking vehicles, and this was all happening while there were still people sitting around a campfire trying to figure out what was going on and where all these noises were coming from. Pretty eerie area indeed.
Canadian Dave Scott, like you, I do not know of the lore, legend, or even the appearance of Dogman. Could you take a few moments and share with us the mythology of Dogman?
Well, and thank you for that. That is a great question. Dogman, if you go back in time, even to Egyptian times, if you look at a lot of the hieroglyphics that are there, they have these images of these bipedal dogs that are actually carrying swords and wearing armor. Many people may recognize it as what they called Anubis back then. And over time, these creatures seem to have popped up throughout indigenous lore here in North America. People seeing these anywhere between 6 feet and 8 feet tall, humanoid-looking creatures with wolf-like heads. Now, people who have encountered these creatures, whether it's in the forests of Pennsylvania, upstate New York, even where I am in British Columbia, they tend to feel this ominous fear that something big and not human seems to be around them. And when they finally make eye contact with this Dogman creature, they tend to get a telepathic message from this creature that basically says, "Get out of here now. You are not wanted here." Now, normally, like any dog, these things seem to run in packs, sometimes 2, sometimes 4 or 5. And if they see a human that they've actually interacted with, they will follow that person out until they get back off that trail or back to their vehicle and are driving away. They are very territorial. They seem to be, at times, very violent. People have been, I've read and heard stories from researchers where people have pulled a gun on this creature, fired at it, hit it, and this creature doesn't even seem to react. It doesn't matter whether it's a handgun or a rifle. This creature just doesn't seem to react to anything. So I don't really know what we're dealing with here, but we're dealing with something extremely supernatural.
And you haven't seen it. Have you seen pictures of it?
I have seen pictures of it, and it is not. It's not a fun-looking creature. I mean, imagine not like a bulky bodybuilder type of musculature, okay, but more of like a real solid athlete, like a football player, like a running back, or a wide receiver, very thin but very strong at the same time, with the muscles popping out. And then the darkness of a lot of people will say it has yellow eyes that glow. Some people will say it has red eyes that glow. It has the fangs just like a wolf would, and the teeth like a wolf would. And this thing can run on 2 legs as well as 4 legs. So we're dealing with something that is very highly aggressive and is very fast indeed. Like you or me, Walter, I'll tell you right now that if you and me were in a race, I don't know which one of us would have to be sacrificed.
Oh, it'd be me. I'd have to be sacrificed. There's no way you could win with me in the race. Now, you have a minute. I want to talk to you about pyramids. Can we talk about pyramids?
Sure we can.
Tell me about the Black Pyramid of Alaska. What do you know about that?
Oh, goodness. There isn't a lot of information about that. I believe this pyramid was originally covered by a glacier and once the glacier started to melt, it actually came out. It is in an area where a lot of strange things happen in an area called the Alaskan Triangle, where a lot of airplanes seem to disappear, crash. A lot of people say there are monsters and aliens that are walking through this area. I have heard reports of Sasquatch being anywhere between, 12 to 20 feet tall in these areas. They are very aggressive. They do not like people in their territory. And look, like that's all you really need compared to, grizzly bears, Kodiak bears, big brown bears, or even polar bears that seem to wander over there. But it is something that, once again, we seem to have these pyramids that are popping up all over. With today's technology and scanning, we were able to find a lot more of them, especially in Mexico and in other places like Alaska. It is a very strange, ominous area.
And what do you think they saw on the other side of the moon last week?
Oh, my goodness, that is a loaded question. I really hope that they saw something. I don't know what they saw. It is alleged that there are bases on the other side of the moon. Many remote viewers out there believe that there are bases of aliens, maybe some of them mixed with human scientists that are doing studies on the dark side of the moon. Now, whether that is true or not, we won't really know. The astronauts are not going to be able to say anything. If there is something there, that would be part of their non-disclosure agreements of what they can and cannot say about what they saw. But I would like NASA to actually, admit that they actually have had their rockets followed. And it wouldn't surprise me if it comes out in the near future, maybe within the next year to 2 years, that this rocket was followed by something as Artemis made its historic trick.
Wait, say that again. You think the rockets were actually followed this time and the astronauts didn't say anything?
Yeah, absolutely. It happens all the time. It's been happening since the Gemini program, the Mercury program, Apollo.
But excuse me, Dave, I figured we had evolved in 50 years that thanks to Ancient Aliens, Star Trek, we'd admit it.
I think there are certain things NASA doesn't want to admit. Okay, we have to realize, too, there are 2 faces to NASA. There is the publicity side, the rah, we're going to space, we're going back to research the moon, which this was. Then there is the military side of NASA that is very secretive. They don't give up a lot of secrets of what their astronauts say. They won't even admit to the astronauts who are on record. You could go on Google and actually search out the transcripts from other astronauts who had things following the Apollo program or Mercury or even Gemini and the shuttle programs. It's easy to find the information, and NASA doesn't even admit that. So with these guys coming back as heroes, which they deserve to be, because I think anybody who goes that far into space, is putting their life on the line. There's a lot of things that can go wrong while up in space. But the fact that they're not going to be able to say anything, we shouldn't be surprised by that.
No, we shouldn't. That's Dave Scott, great friend of the show. Dave Scott, Spaced Out Radio. You can find him on YouTube, Spaced Out Radio.